Hel- Hello, and welcome to the second Democratic debate. Tonight, I will be joined with our main host, Jaden Speed, and me, Cody O'Toole.
Okay, just bear with us while we're working on making sure everything is set up and ready, making sure that the stream is working okay. Right now, you can see our Washington correspondent, Cody O'Toole. Tonight is the night of the second Democratic debate. Tonight we have Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Steve Bullock, Pete Buttigieg, John Delaney, Hickenlooper, Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Tim Ryan, and Marianne Williamson on the debate stage. So that's a lot of people. Then we got 10 more people tomorrow night. We'll also be live tomorrow night with the same schedule, 7:30 p.m. Eastern to 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll be back at 10 p.m. Eastern with our post-debate analysis. So Cody, do you want to start us off with our first kind of thing we wanted to discuss is Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders being on the same stage right next to each other, smack dab in the middle. You were saying something interesting about that
Well,
earlier.
yeah. So, with them being smack dab in the middle, they are representing the far left of the Democratic Party, which means that they get more expression of their opinions because it's lined up by their polling. So, everyone on the outside has less polling data, and everyone on the inside has more. But with the far left Democrats being in the middle, that could scare off some more moderate Democrats that originally voted for Trump, and they probably won't sway them with their very far left opinions. Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. What I think is you're not going to sway Trump voters anymore. Trump voters, his base, are so far dug in to his nonsense, I don't think you're going to sway them. I don't think
No,
it
I'm
matters
talking.
whether or not you have Biden or Bernie Sanders or any of these Democrats. You're not going to sway Trump voters. What you need to do is energize minorities, energize African Americans and Latinos and youth against Trump. That's the only way the Democrats are going to win. They're not going to win by trying to win over the white males that support Trump and his nonsense.
But I was talking about the more moderate Democrats that just voted for Trump because they didn't like Hillary Clinton. So it's more of a central thing that they want, like Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg, instead of someone far left like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I think I definitely like Buttigieg. Um,
I do.
the thing is, a lot of these far left policies, I think, are policies that are actually going to work, and they're policies that the majority of Americans support. Um, Medicare for all, I think last time it was polled by NBC, it was polling at 60% of approval. So I think we can. A lot of these policies are supported. We just need the right person to portray them.
Yeah, I think someone that could really unite the Democratic Party and the more moderates against Trump or towards these policies would be better than someone just driving home these few ideas. Because most presidents don't get a bunch of choices while they're in office. Like Obama, for example, he had the choice between Medicare for all and climate change. He clicked, or chose, sorry, Medicare for all instead, and he
Trump,
didn't really get to make a big
Obama
impact.
didn't do Medicare for all. Obama's had his health care planned, Obamacare. It pretty much just gave people protections from protected people with pre-existing conditions, but Obamacare didn't do much to help people. I don't think so. It did get more people on healthcare, which is good. And Biden is running on a policy of expanding Obamacare with a public option. But what I really think is that we need healthcare, public sector healthcare. Because with private healthcare, their their goal is to make money and not to actually help the people. So we need public health care, and I think that would be with either Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren's Medicare for All plans. Um, Speak on this topic. Kamala Harris released a plan this morning, her Medicare plan, which is in the middle of Biden's plan and Sanders' plan. It's quite interesting. Have you looked at it?
Yes, I have, and I frankly agree with most of the things in there because it still leaves the choice for private insurance,
Yeah,
if that's the plan.
Kamala Harris has been kind of flip floppity on private insurance. I think last debate she she raised her hand when asked if she would abolish private insurance, and then the next day she said that she didn't mean to raise her hand and it was a mistake. And then I attended a Kamala Harris rally in July. That would be 5 days after the debate, and she said that she did support abolishing private sector health care. So she's been really flip-floppity on that. And then with her policy today she had, it would restrict private health care, but there would still be a place for private insurance companies. So I hope she'll be on tomorrow night. I hope tomorrow night we'll see her. Hope I can see her clarify what her healthcare plan is. Because she's been really all over the place with it. Should we go to our next topic? Over the weekend, President Trump went on Twitter pretty much trashing the city of Baltimore and its representative in Congress. He called the city rat and rodent infested. He said it was a horrible place and no human being would want to live there. What do you think about those comments?
Well, of course they're not appropriate for a president to say, and it kind of reflects his personality towards things like that. And he's not really turning voters towards him when he says what he wants to say. He needs to take firm action and try and get the voters on his side. He can't really go off shooting at one person and then come back the next day and be like, oh, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, he hasn't really. He did try to walk back the send her back chants at his campaign rally in North Carolina. That didn't really work. He said that he tried to stop it, but as the video evidence will show you, and I can get us a clip for later in the program, he sat there and smiled as the crowd chanted send her back about Muslim Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. And then lately with the attacks against Representative Elijah Cummings in Baltimore, because Elijah Cummings insulted Trump during the Mueller testimony. A lot of people have said the attacks are racist. Think that the attacks are racist, but I don't think Trump is doing them to be racist. I think he's doing them to fight back on anyone who criticizes him because he does that. What do you think? Is Trump trying to be racist here, or is he just saying stuff and it comes out racist?
I think he just speaks his mind too much. He's not very subtle about what he says, and he doesn't really try and disguise what he really thinks. And he is trying to stir to the left or to the right's agenda and towards the people who voted for him last time, which is more homophobic like that.
Yeah, personally, I think Trump, he doesn't have any sort of subtlety. He doesn't have any sort of strategy. The media, a lot of the mainstream media, the pundits like to say that Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump are playing three-dimensional chess. I don't think Donald Trump could play normal chess. I really don't.
He's probably never learned it. Probably the most complicated game he knows is rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, and I don't think he's very good at that game either.
No. But you would think the president would need to be more educated and be able to maneuver more political situations than that, and be able to be more subtle, because you can't have a president that is always doing what he wants and is very compulsive in that way, because he'll make your allies mad at you and make others mad at you as well.
Yeah, if you think about it, on the topic of allies, a lot of our foreign allies laugh at the United States because of the way.
BBC any day.
Yeah, if you tune into BBC, which is
look, the idiots Americans are doing now.
Yeah, the British Broadcasting Channel, people in the UK and people in Europe, all across the world laugh at the United States as they watch all the crazy stuff that goes on here that other nations don't like to deal. They don't have these issues. And I think on that topic, I want to bring up one more thing, which is gun laws in the country. There have actually been 3 shootings in the last 24 hours. Earlier today, we learned about a shooting at Walmart, I believe in Mississippi or Missouri. I have to get the exact details on that. There's a shooting at a Walmart where a former employee shot 2 other Walmart employees because he was fired the day before for stabbing a customer. So my question is, how did this man that stabbed someone the day before be able to still go out and buy a rifle and then go back to his work the next day and shoot people? How does the police not get involved here and stop him? Like, he stabbed a man less than 24 hours before he bought the gun.
Yeah, shouldn't Walmart have reported that to police so then they could kind of be aware that he was mentally unstable and was going to do something irrational? Because most people, when they go and stab one of their customers, they normally aren't that stable, I would say, in the head.
Yeah,
So,
it was an interesting story to read about. Now on the other shootings that happened, sadly, Monday night there was a shooting at the Gilroy Garlic Festival in Gilroy, California. This shooting was intentionally done by a white supremacist. He posted on social media a couple hours beforehand with this Nazi manifesto, and then he posted 5 minutes beforehand a picture of him at the festival with this eerie caption that he was about to do something. And then right after that post, 5 minutes later, we get the news that there's a shooting there. And I think 3 people died and a dozen people were injured. And 2 of the 3 that died were
injured.
And 2 of the people that died were children. There was a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old that were killed, along with a 25-year-old. And then we have another case of a shooting that happened later that evening, a gang-related shooting in Chicago. So we got so many shootings in the last 24 hours. And it's definitely going to be a question tonight to these candidates of what are your policies on gun control. I think last debate, Eric Swalwell brought it up. I think he was the only candidate to really talk about it. And he mentioned Moms Demand Action, which is an organization that we work with ourselves. But he dropped out last week, so he won't be on the debate today.
Hey.
So our Atlanta correspondent is joining in with us now. So right now we are discussing the 3 shootings that have happened recently and what we think some of the candidates are going to say when they're asked about it tonight at the debate. Since you're one of our conservative correspondents, do you want to jump in here?
Well, yeah. It's clear to me that all candidates are going to start off by saying they are deeply troubled by this, and then they're going to move on to gun laws, right? Which they're going to promise, but none of them are actually going to go through with. Because currently we've got a split Congress, and that's not looking to change for 2020.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that I don't think that the Senate is going to flip. If you looking at this, this might be a different story later down the road, closer to 2020. But looking at the Senate right now, if you look at it, it's going to be probably 51-49 again. Republicans gonna keep control of the Senate, and I really don't think they're going to be able to accomplish a lot. And that was a question that was asked at the debate last month of how these presidential candidates think they're going to get all of these progressive and liberal policies past Mitch McConnell.
And then another thing is that how are they going to get nominees past the Senate?
Yeah, I think that's definitely going to be an issue. Obama had that issue trying to get his nominees through the Senate later on. They didn't even have a hearing on the person that he nominated for the Supreme Court. We're about 10 minutes away from the debate starting. When the debate does start, we are going to go off for a while, and then we'll be back after the debate, 10 p.m. Eastern, with some post-analysis. You can watch on YouTube, or you can check it out on the website, youngreports.org. That's all I gotta say in closing. I'm gonna let our Washington correspondent, Cody, mention any last things that he wants to mention.
Well, if you guys have any opinions on this that you would like to touch on in the post-debate, or any questions about the debate that come up while you're watching it, feel free to put it in the live chat. I have been watching it this entire time, and I will certainly address those.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
go to our Atlanta correspondent, Sebastian. Do you want to say anything before we head out?
Not really. I'm just really interesting to see what these candidates are going to see in the debate that I can bring back and attack afterwards.
Okay, well that's our conservative, or more conservative correspondent. We'll all be taking notes, and we'll see how long this our post discussion lasts. Our Los Angeles correspondent should be joining us for the post discussion. If you have anything that you want to say during the debate, you can contact us on Twitter. The live chat is always open. Make sure and invite your friends, and we will be back soon. This is Young Reports, election coverage 2020, and we will be doing this for the debates in September when they come around. Hello, everyone. We are back on. We are having a little bit of a technical, issue with the camera. There we go. That should work a bit better. So we're back. The debate lasted quite a while. It's gone into overtime now. And so we have decided that we are going to begin anyway. There's a lot of interesting things mentioned today. Healthcare, gun control, climate change, a lot of other things too. So I'm going to turn it over to our Washington correspondent to discuss what he thinks. So, Cody, what are you thinking with what are you thinking with the debate? How do you think it went?
I think it went pretty well. Just a lot of interesting things were said during this, a lot of interesting solutions to new problems. But what everyone is trying to do is find a new solution to the problems of our time. We can't always be sticking with the same thing over and over and over consecutively when it doesn't work. We need to get new solutions. We need to find new ways. We need to get new advisors, new people in charge. And here, I'm just going to quickly read out a couple of my notes. The three people on the left side of the stage, in the first couple seconds of the national anthem, didn't have their hands over their hearts. The two on either side of, didn't pitch in any time with his name because I don't think I wrote that down. Isn't it Ryan? No. The one in the middle of the two girls on the left never put his hand on his heart the entire time, which really bogged me down because the United States flag is something to be generally respected. And more nowadays, I don't see that respect coming out from all Americans. Like on the front of people's houses, they don't know which side of their house the flag's supposed to be on. And they mess that up. And combined with everything else, like not respecting the flag by making jokes about the flag, by not thanking war veterans and active duty military in uniform and not in uniform, it frankly shows that it's more of a symbol to us, but not really something that we take super seriously as Americans. And we need to stress the importance of respecting our flag because the flag represents the country. And just to build on that, we as Americans are not generally happy. So in a poll taken, we are found to be one of the not happiest countries in the entire world. Sweden being up there in the top with them because they have universal health care and gun control and all these other matters that we've been fighting for so long, and it works there. But what people were worried about is us becoming like Sweden and having to pay that much in taxes. They pay a ton more in taxes than we do, and everyone's always complaining about our taxes. But it makes sense that if we are making more as a country, whether that be making $15 an hour, no matter where you work for minimum wage, that means that we can pay more in taxes because more people have the money to do that. And we also, like every single...
Yeah, I'm going to cut you off there because you're going into a lot of different topics that I want us to discuss with everyone else.
Yeah.
With regard to the flag thing, yeah, I'm kind of torn on this because they can do what they want. It's part of America is that you have the freedom to do what you want. I really don't think a big deal should be made out of it. I don't know why he did it though. That's my question. Like, I want him to tell me afterwards, like, was this for some sort of protest or some sort of, did he do that like as some sort of statement or message because he knew people would talk about it? Is he trying to do like what the NFL protesters did? That's what I was wondering, but I don't want us to get caught up on the flag thing too much.
Well, it is just kind of a general degradation in what we believe in as Americans. People aren't getting educated on what the flag truly means to Americans and to the country as a whole. But I do believe we do have the right to protest the flag in whatever way we want. But to a certain extent, we should be educated on the proper procedures of using a flag, folding a flag, and general respect for the flag and veterans.
Alright.
Yeah.
I agree with Cody, right? Daily students, normal students, people that don't take an extra JROTC class, or people who don't do Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts, still should have to be educated on our flag. Nowadays, way too many people are grabbing our flags and throwing it on the ground as if it means nothing. As if people don't go out to Iraq and die for that flag, for this country. And then today, on their debate during the national anthem, the presentation of the colors, Ryan didn't have his
yeah, that's what we're talking about right now. So I think it might be a greater issue to discuss at a later date of whether general Americans respect the flag. But I do want to know what Ryan did it for. That's my question there. I think we can definitely have a discussion on this program at a later date on respecting the flag as a general discussion. Because I want us to stay on with what the debate is about. So since the debate ran later than we thought, we've started later, but I want to make sure we get through everything before we have to go. So I just want to tell all the viewers we will be doing this again tomorrow night for tomorrow night's debate. And so it'll be our Washington correspondent Cody, me, our Atlanta correspondent Sebastian, our Los Angeles correspondent should be joining us at some point this evening. So what I really wanted to speak to first is, who do we think won the debate?
If you ask me, Pete Buttigieg won.
See, I was thinking Elizabeth Warren did the best job out of all of them.
See, my thing about Pete Buttigieg is that, unlike everyone else, because, if you're watching and you don't know, I'm like the only Republican correspondent, right?
I'm the most central, and we have a wide variety.
Yeah. If you're watching, Pete Buttigieg seems to be the one that had the most, I don't know, sense in his brain, right? Like he said, under his presidency, illegal border crossings would still be illegal, right? Like, I mean, why? And then, like, Bernie said that he wants to offer free health care to non-U.S. citizens, right? To what the people who live here that came here legally don't even have free health care. Why would you offer it to those that cross the border illegally?
Yeah, I think it goes against the law to cross the border, and that needs to be enforced. But we do still need to have some backup protocols for special occurrences.
Yeah, we'll have.
If you're seeking asylum, you can't just show up at the border and be like, "I want asylum." U.S. law requires you to seek asylum at the embassy before you cross the border.
It's an interesting discussion, and I think we can get into immigration more in a minute. I wanted to also touch on. I wrote a lot of notes about Delaney and Ryan and Bullock because I really don't think they should be on the debate stage. They have, I think, 1% in the polls. They're probably not going to make it to the next debate. And I don't really think they have much to say. They really just shouldn't even be in the race. Dropout Delaney has been trending on Twitter for the last 2 debates that he's been in. I really don't think people are going to support him. And I think in his remarks and his answers to questions, he's very arrogant and very rude in a lot of cases. What do you guys think?
See, my side on this is that they've said what they have to say. They've done what they've had to do. The people have spoken. They're obviously not supporting these candidates. The fact that they are continuing their campaign is an embarrassment to themselves.
Yeah, I don't even know why they keep running.
A good leader knows when he's defeated.
Yeah,
when he or she is defeated.
Right when Delaney began his opening statement, I wrote down, why is John Delaney even here? He's I don't know. And then along with Montana Governor Steve Bullock, I don't know why he's here either. They all got the same. They all pretty much say the same thing. They got the same ideas, and they're not new ideas. They're old ideas. They think it's the 1990s, and they can still run on the policies and the issues from the 80s and the 90s. Well, it's not 1990. It's not 1983. It's 2019, and we have comprehensive issues that they didn't have in their peak. They didn't have the issue of climate change. So why in the hell should they go on TV and tell youth how they should deal with climate change? Climate change is our generation's issue. We will have to deal with it every day of our lives. And these old men from the 70s and the 80s want to go on TV and tell us we shouldn't do anything about it. Because they aren't going to have to live with the carnage of climate change. They ruined the environment. They're going to die, and they won't have to deal with it. But we will have to deal with it. That's why I think we need a Green New Deal, and we need to discuss climate change as it is. The largest existential threat to the human race.
The Democratic Party has been tackling the issue of climate change for a really long time. An absurd amount of time now. And it's always been, we've only got 10 years to do it. When Obama was running, we only had 10 years to do it. And that was like 10 years ago.
I think you're confusing the ozone problem in 2000 with climate change.
The ozone problem was before 2000.
Yeah, Al Gore ran for president in 2000. Before that, in the 90s, he was vice president, and they had an issue with ozone depletion. That's a different issue than climate change.
Been closing up. Yes.
So, Cody, do you want to jump in here? You've been pretty silent. You want to
I'm just considering all my options.
Climate change.
But climate change is definitely an issue, and it's going to affect my generation. Same thing with school shootings and other comprehensive issues that this older generation can't agree on. We need to have some younger people in Congress steering the direction for us because they represent the younger generation. The whole entire point of society is to keep society going. You can't have a bunch of old ideas getting more attention than the new ideas that need to be addressed and need to be changed for our kids' sake and
our sake. It's not even our kids. We will have to deal with it. They say by 2040, Miami will be underwater. Flooding and fires and hurricanes, as we're seeing the effects right now getting worse and worse each year. 500-year floods happening every couple years. We're seeing these effects, and
all throughout the Midwest, and they're still there.
Yeah,
and because the ground is so full of water already, it's not going away. It will stay there, and it will stay in those cornfields, thus really screwing up our economy and really making it hard for farmers to do their jobs and make money to feed their families.
Young Reports were based in Nebraska. We were founded in the small town of Nahaka, Nebraska. We saw the flooding firsthand, the flood of 2019. CBS had an amazing documentary on earlier this week, interviewing Nebraska farmers. We have seen the effects of climate change. And now these family farms that have been operating for hundreds of years will no longer be operational because they're under 5 feet of water. You look at the aerial photos, the Missouri River that separates Nebraska and Iowa expanded by almost double its original size, and that water's not going down. And it's not going to go down. Part of Nebraska and Iowa communities are underwater forever. We have lost a large part of farmland, and many farmers in Nebraska and Iowa will no longer be farming, and that is a big influence to our economy. The Republican Party wants to continue to run on the idea that they are the party of the economy. They're the party of balanced budgets and the party that's good at money and finance. But they're also the party that doesn't realize that if we do nothing about climate change, our economy will be destroyed. Our factories will be flooded, our farms will be flooded. We will not be able to grow food. We will not be able to feed our people. We will not be able to have a functioning economy. And that's the issue.
In the same respect, the military base in Nebraska off at Air Force Base was flooded and has caused millions of dollars of damages. My dad works there, and we firsthand saw, because he was on the crisis action team, he was out there for hours on end sandbagging, just trying to prepare the base for this, and it came in within 8 hours and completely swamped all of their work, and it came in so fast that they couldn't do anything about it. Yeah. They couldn't build a wall.
We're not going to be able to do anything about it. Cities like New Orleans and Miami that are 3 feet below sea level, 6 feet below sea level, those levees that were built in the 1950s aren't going to withstand the next major hurricane. And those cities are going to flood, and the water is never going to go down. Climate change is an economic issue, it's a moral issue, and it's a national security issue. If our bases and our military installations are flooded and we can't operate out of them, what is going to stop North Korea or Russia or China from taking the advantage to strike where our systems are down?
And that also brings us into the infrastructure problem. Over 75% of our bridges in the United States aren't even safe to walk on. They could collapse at any moment, and there's nothing that we're doing about it. The roads are terrible. Why do we still have gravel roads in 2019, almost 2020? It's kind of sad to see how our infrastructure is failing so much, and we can't do anything about it just because the people in charge don't want to spend their money on places that need funding.
Yeah, and I want to kind of pivot a little bit. I'm a Democrat. I'm a big progressive. I love the Democratic Party, but I am going to criticize the DNC on their decision not to have a climate debate. They spent 45 minutes on healthcare this evening. If they were to spend that amount of time talking about the greatest threat to our generation, to our species on Earth, that is what they need to do.
The thing is that the DNC obviously doesn't care about climate change as much as they say they do. They'd rather have you believe that they care, right? And then shove healthcare as a human right up your face.
So here's what I'll say.
Then actually do anything about it.
Here's what I'll say. The Democratic Party is split into two. People have been talking about this for a while. There is a civil war inside of the Democratic Party. And that civil war is between people like John Delaney and Joe Biden and the 1970s politicians like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and the actual people that want to do something to make a difference. Anyone can criticize the squad, criticize AOC or Ilhan Omar, but they are not in politics for money. They're not like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer that have become millionaires by being in Congress. They are actually involved and fighting for what they believe in. No matter if you support that or not, that's what they're doing. It looks like we've lost Cody. We'll see if we can get him back soon. Until then, we'll switch back to my view. Sorry about all the technical difficulties. We hope as we continue to do this, we can get things sorted out better. We are a small organization. We don't have much money. We all are youth, young people, and we shoot out of our houses. So any technical issues, we'll be working on improving them as time goes on. As with that being said, let's discuss gun laws.
Oh, yes.
So I actually have a tweet that I want to bring up to everyone. So let's see if I can get that up. So yeah, this is a tweet from Everytown. If anyone does not know what Everytown is, it's pretty much the United States' gun violence prevention organization. Cody and I both volunteer with the organization's student branch. And so I saw their tweet about Pete Buttigieg's comments, and I thought, let's bring this up. This would be a nice thing to bring in. So, as the tweet reads, it's a quote from Pete Buttigieg that he said at the debate this evening. We have a mass shootings worth of killings every day in this country. And Pete Buttigieg offers common sense solutions to gun violence epidemic in America. Some of the policies he floated include background checks in all gun sales, red flag laws, and banning assault weapons in the U.S. Red flag laws and background checks on gun sales are two things that I think are really important. So background checks, I think they said 80% of the American people, including 70% of Republicans, they agree we need to enforce our background check system. We need to improve it. And then red flag laws, I personally agree with a lot. Earlier this month, I went to the Nebraska legislature to testify in front of the Judiciary Committee on approving their red flag law in Nebraska. And so I'll open it up to Cody. Do you want to discuss some more about the gun violence epidemic and what you think is the right things to do? Do you agree with Pete Buttigieg, or do you want to see something else done?
Well, I think we need multiple things to happen. We first need better background checks. We need to close the gun show loophole, which has been a problem and will remain a problem, because I know people that have gone to a gun show underaged and bought a AR-15 from a backstreet dealer that didn't require a background check. And that's a problem. We can't just have anyone sitting around and being able to buy a gun no matter what. It's an epidemic, and it's spreading all across the United States, and we are one of the only countries that has one of these issues, and we can't seem to come to a definitive conclusion on what is best. We can't harm teachers in schools for school shootings, because I think, and I've talked to multiple teachers about this, that when the police come in, who are they going to shoot? They're going to shoot the person with the gun. They won't know who the shooter is, what they look like. When they see a bunch of people running around with guns, it'll be mass hysteria. No one will know who's the bad guy and who's the good guy. And another thing that goes into gun safety is red flag laws, like Jaden mentioned. I also went with him to the Capitol when he testified, and I frankly agree that red flag laws are a moral thing that is a civic duty to have. If you see someone that is unstable and you don't think that they should have a gun, you should be able to report it and get that solved. If you're wrong and you just did it because, hey, I want to take their guns because I'm a dumb Democrat or whatever the Republicans will say, that is filing a fake police report and also kind of stealing, in a sense, because you're taking away a person's right of protection. So that it has fixed a lot of holes that the Republicans constantly use. But I think that is one of the best ways that we can prevent this stuff. Even when it comes to social media, like the shooting in California, they put out signs on their social media saying these things, and someone should be able to report that and get their guns taken away from them, get a temporary permit to take their guns. It's not a thing that's going to take their guns for the rest of their lives unless they're in prison for the rest of their lives for doing something. It's a temporary solve that will be reassessed.
Yeah, so...
Minnie, can you allow me to step in here real quick?
Yeah, I'll give Sebastian a few minutes, and then I want us to talk more about the candidates a bit. It is getting kind of late, so we should wrap it up soon, but Sebastian, talk.
Alright, so while I do agree with more background checks, right? That is something that we should have, because we can't have some maniac running around with a gun, right? I don't agree on straight up what they call quote-unquote common sense gun control, right? I don't believe that a single candidate up there, except for maybe, what's his name? The guy that lost to Ted Cruz. Right?
O'Rourke.
Yes. I don't think a single one of them knows what qualifies as an assault rifle. I do not believe that any one of them, you can put an AR-15 and right next to a gun that fires the same ammo at the same rate, with the same firepower, that just has a wooden frame, and they will tell you that the AR-15 is bad, but the other gun is okay. And this is what we've seen throughout the nation, and that's not right. The AR-15 is the most commonly used
hunting rifle. It is not a fully automatic weapon, right? And yes, its design is based off a military grade weapon, but itself it is not a military grade weapon either. On top of that, right? They are. Wait, hold up. But anyway, on top of that, they seem to believe that guns are the issue. If we get more resources out there into helping the mentally insane, which is what I'm going to call it, people who are mentally not stable, instead of just away their guns, right? Because there's been school knifings where over 20 people have been injured, including a school security guard. And if you ban guns, if you have gun control, right? Criminals are gonna find a way to get them anyway. And that's just a fact of life. Criminals will find a way to do the crime if they're really motivated.
So here's what
California has the strictest gun laws, right? Out of any state. Yet it has the most gun violence related crimes out of any state.
So here's what I'm gonna say here, and then I think we can wrap up this here. On the issue of what qualifies as an assault weapon, I think some certain guns that are on the market right now need to be reevaluated. I think some of the weapons that are for sale now, I don't see a practical use for them. If it's a gun that fires 100 bullets very fast, you're not going to go hunting with that. Any hunter will tell you that you don't use a gun that fires more than one bullet at a time to go hunting. People that hunt because they want the animal's meat or they want the animal's fur. But if we look at these military grade weapons that are on the market, and it's hard to look at, but if you look at the photos after these school shootings, and they are horrific to see, but these aren't rifles that you go hunting with. These are rifles that are made for the military that tear the corpse apart. And no one's going to go hunting with that. And if you want to tell me that you're going to use it for defense, my question is then, who do you need to defend yourself from? Who are you in trouble with?
What weapon are you talking about?
That you need a military grade weapon that tears people apart to defend yourself. Is your house being invaded by the Taliban? Who do you need to defend yourself with?
Any gun will tear people apart.
Look at the photos from the school shootings. You look at the photos from the Parkland shooting. Those weapons, I don't care how much
an AR-15 is not a military-grade weapon.
I don't care how much you want to defend the AR-15. If you look at the photos, it is not a hunting weapon. It is a weapon that tears the corpse apart, and you do not go hunting with that. And I know from firsthand, we have one. I've test fired it myself. You cannot tell me you go hunting with that. You fire it at the target, it tears the target apart.
The most popular hunting weapon.
It tears the person apart.
Well, actually, most states prohibit rifle hunting until a specific time, which is a short period of time just to dwindle down the species that people are hunting. But most of the time, it's actually crossbow hunting. But that does depend on the area and the creature you are hunting. But I have gone hunting multiple times with my dad and my sister, and we have never brought the AR-15 even during rifle season. It's just not what you would use for hunting. A 1 or 2 shot rifle is good enough. not a semi-automatic where it's just bang, 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 bang. You don't,
Yeah.
when
And so
going
the
after a
thing
deer,
with
you
the
don't line up your shot and you go bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, the thing
You're not
with the
supposed to shoot as
AR-15
fast as your
is
finger.
it's not an automatic weapon. We agree with that. You can't classify it as an automatic weapon, but it is a weapon that is made for military purposes, not for civilian purposes.
The AR-15 is not designed for military purposes. It's got a military counterpart, yes, but the commonly sold AR-15 was not designed, nor is it intended to be used by the military. The AR-15 that is currently on the market that you can go out and buy was designed for competition hunting, for, hell, even normal hunting. It was never designed for the military to use, and the military does not use the commonly sold military, what you all call military grade AR-15, because using that would be a waste of their cash.
Well, that also brings me into another point about the military selling weapons, because the military does sell its planes and its technology to other countries that could flop on us, like Iran and whatnot, because of an unstable president. And if we sell every single resource that we have, such as the B-2 bomber,
Well, like, I mean, Obama
the
sold...
F-19s, well, yeah, every president's done it, but just because they've done it doesn't mean that it's right. Now they know exactly our capabilities, what we can do, what our technology hides, and look for exploits in that. And I think that we should be more investing in keeping those secrets and not giving them to every other foreign nation. And going on that same point, we need to bring manufacturing back to the United States. The steel mills, they have just been rapidly shutting down. And if we can't sustain ourselves in war because we're on the other side of the world than every other major nation for the most part, we need to be self-sustaining. Anyone with a large enough navy could block off and block trades from the Strait of Hormuz and other oil places. We need to be sustaining enough that we can manufacture ourselves like our grandparents did. Yes, it was dangerous. Yes, people died, but it needs to be done. We can't just be relying on every other nation to supply us our needs, because they might not be our allies in 50 or 100 or 1,000 years.
Okay, so we're definitely saying a lot of interesting things here. I think we've gone a little far off topic. So I don't mean to shut you guys down, but we need to come back around because it's getting kind of late.
Yeah, I've got to go.
And we can
soon.
save some more things for conversations tomorrow. Overall, the debate was great. We'll see how the schedule is like during tomorrow's debate, whether or not we'll come on earlier or later. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting independent media. That's what we are. We don't have a lot of funding. We don't have a lot of resources.
Not at all.
But we are young people around the country voicing our concerns, giving our voices to these topics. And so please visit our website, read our articles, share our videos, and make sure to subscribe to our email campaign on our website. With that being said, thank you all for watching today. We're going to end the stream here. Please join us tomorrow and share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. If you have any comments for us, you can tweet at us or you can email us through the Young Reports contact page on the website. Young Reports, www.youngreports.org. Make sure to check out any new updates. The stream will be cut into smaller videos and clips that will be uploaded throughout the week. If you want to see any specific topic being discussed tomorrow night for tomorrow night's debate, please tell us and make sure to tune in tomorrow. Thank you, goodbye, good luck, and Godspeed.